Hey guys, Jeff at Hubie's Garage, and just got the call from Newt that he's ready to hang the doors and start gapping the doors to get ready to do the final body work on the Del Rey. He wanted to know what happened to the hinges. Well, I had taken the hinges and brought them home because I was going to restore them. So overall, they're not in too bad a shape. They are rusty. I would love to bead blast them, but my bead blast cabinet is not in working order yet. So I thought I'd take this time to go through a door hinge rebuild. I think I'm going to try to wire wheel these, which take a little bit of time, but they'll come out nice. I don't know if I'm going to primer them or what I'm going to do, but before I take them apart, they are marked. I think I just used a scratch all, so I think this one's the right bottom, but I didn't have my Harbor Freight punch set, so I'm going to go ahead and just punch these in an inconspicuous area so that I know which one's which, where they go, where they came from, that kind of stuff. Just to make sure that everything is goes back the way it was. So door latch is also here. This is just a good opportunity to show you that when you take these cars apart, how the old sandwich bags, you know, the Walmart specials, the Family Dollar store specials, that kind of stuff, just get some storage bags, mark them up, and that way you hopefully don't lose stuff, because I do have a rubber tote that I've been throwing all these sandwich bags that are labeled in there, so I don't lose everything for the reassembly. Because old guys like me, you know, you forget stuff, you forget where the parts went, so hopefully you label them real good and put them in the same place. But let's get at tearing these things apart. Okay, so before I tear them apart, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and get my punches out, and I'm going to go ahead and punch these. I've got my, originally they were scratched on the arms, left bottom, left top, just to avoid any confusion as far as left or right. I'm just going to change that to driver and passenger. It's usually there's no confusion with that. So I've got my my driver, and so I'm going to go ahead and give that a punch just so I get everything labeled here. This will go on an area where you won't see it. Alright, so there's a driver, and this one's bottom, so this will get a DB. Give that a punch. Alright, so I got a DB written on that one, and trying to see if I could come up with an easy way to do this. Actually, just go ahead and punch this on the outer frame here so I can keep this all together. And so this one is, we'll end up doing the same thing. We'll do driver, we'll do a DB on this side also. That's enough. Oh wait. Okay. So there's the B. Make sure get that lined up right. Give this one a good whack. Alright, so there's a DB. I don't know how well you could see it, but basically right under my finger there. So now we can take them apart. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is you want to get these to the closed position. They're in the open position right now. Here's a hinge that's in the closed position. But this was the DB version, and we had put this in the open position. Now we got it in the closed position, so it'll be a lot easier. It won't be up against the spring or the tensioner. So we'll go ahead and set it to where the pin's not going to interfere with the vise. The pin will fit between the vise. We'll give it a couple of whacks. All right. Now basically there's some serrated edges on this pin that are kind of press fit in there. These are pretty rusty. I've knocked the pin to where it's flush and it still doesn't want to come out. I can get some pliers, or I can just get my punch and just finish the job. So let's try that. Let's see if we can do this without in 3 hands here. Okay. Yeah, still these get a little bit rusty. We'll just knock it all the way out. All right, there's the pin. It's got the serrated edge there. We can see the top of the hinge where the serrated edge is. So we'll have to take these pins and clean them up, see if they're they got any wear on them, and we'll take the hinge out, or the arm out. Let's see. Okay, so the arm's out, and we got the hinged assembly, or the base of it. So so we'll go ahead and clean these up, and then before we clean this up, we'll go ahead and knock the brass, or I'm not sure if they're brass or copper. We'll knock the bushings out of here. So some type of soft metal, and we'll go from there. So let's work on these. Got the same punch. Go ahead and you can grab the inside edge of this. Open up the vise a little bit. Get a little bit more room. Actually, let's let it hang over the edge here. Not a lot of meat on these. All right, so there's one. Let's see if oh, here it is. Yeah, this one's a little bit chewed up, so not real sure how well. Pin was a little bit loose in it. Rocks kind of side to side a little bit, so we're going to replace the bushings anyway. We'll see if the pins are good too. May reuse the pins, may get some new ones. Let's finish off the other one, and 68 years of being in the same spot for a long time. It just in the bottoms of these bushings being a little bit sharp edge, there's not a lot of meat right on this, so we'll maybe my punch isn't real happy. Get a bigger one here. Like that. It's nice when you use a bigger punch. So this one, same deal. It's not in the best of shape. So we'll go ahead and replace these bushings, clean up the hinge, clean up the base, put everything back together. Maybe a cleaned up pin, new pin, we're not sure, and see how they look. You know, before I start wire wheeling the arms in hinge assemblies. A lot of the stuff from the factory, when you're tearing these cars apart, you'll see a lot of this goopy stuff. It's basically like a seam sealer or like an anti-squeak. They used to sell it in rolls, and it's I don't know, it's like a mastic, and a lot of the factory stuff had this. So before you get on and goop up your wire wheel, you may need to get on here and let's see, probably see a pretty good picture of it right there, and scrape this stuff out. You know, just get a blade and just try to scrape out as much as you can. I've already done that on the one arm here, and you know, so it's ready to wire wheel. Okay, well, I'm going to use the poor man's bead blaster, and definitely going to wear face shield for this one, if I could find it. But yeah, the wheel's starting to come apart, and you know, I've had a few of these stuck in my forehead before, so I'm just going to go ahead and swap out the wheel because this one's starting to come apart. Typically, you can grab the wheel on the other side, and that's about all it takes. So I'll go ahead and swap this one out, chuck this one in the trash. Got another fine wire wheel from my local Ace, and looks like it's got a bushing, but we don't need the bushing, I don't think. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's interesting. So put the bushing on it, get the flat washer, lock washer and nut, put that one back on, and get her nice and snug. Okay, now I'm gonna go find my face shield. Okay, ready to use the wire wheel. Almost. I'm actually gonna do something that I said that I'd never ever do, and that is I'm gonna be using my goggles. And whenever I use this wire wheel and grinder, especially the grinder, you want to use a face shield. I know that some of the guys out there actually, in fact, it's Brad at Montana Garage has a face shield that looks more like a welder's helmet with just a clear lens. And you know, I may just go on there and buy one of those. You know, it works, and safety first. But I need to get this one done, and I'm more concerned about eye protection for me. I've been stuck with these wires before. They're not fun, but you know, it just is what it is. I don't have the face shield. I'm going to order it today because I can't find my normal face shield, which is pretty par for the course around this garage. You probably saw my video earlier, but I got to get this one done so that I could make sure that the parts that I got will fit and work, and at least get one of these hinges restored. So don't try this at home. Okay, so after using the wire wheel, you can see things came out pretty nice. You know, the blast cabinet, if I had mine working, probably would have left a little bit of a texture. The wire wheel kind of smooths everything out a little bit. It takes a little bit longer, and you can't get into all the areas that you need to. This would be one of them right here, but just get a little hand brush and we'll wire wheel, or a wire brush, and brush that out, clean that out. But wire wheel does a fairly decent job. So also door pins, all the door pins. This has been a typical door pin that I pulled out of the 4. There's no real wear on this. You know, everything looks real good. Haven't seen any issues with any type of a groove or anything that hangs your nail up. I mean, it's real clean, looks real good. So I'm gonna reuse these. I'm not gonna use the ones from the kit, because the ones from the kit, believe it or not, this was a 55 to 91 GM truck door hinge pin kit, and this part number that they had, the C57E that you see there in the catalog, showed that that was for a Tri-5, all models. So you can see the difference in the pin here. Definitely not going to be using the pins from the kit. The kit was $6.99. Basically deals with one door, so it's got 4 bushings and 2 pins. Obviously the pins are much longer than they need to be, and you know, I just don't know. I'm sure the kit's made in China. I'm sure the metallurgy's different. You know, tensile strength, Rockwell hardness, whatever you want to look at. I just trust the old school original parts much more than these newer made overseas stuff. So to me, if the parts look good from the original car, original hinge, clean them up, repaint them, restore them, whatever, go ahead and reuse them. That's what I do. It's typically what I do. The bushings, I really don't have a choice. We'll see the bushings here. There is a difference in the bushings. I think these are the later model Chevrolet, like 62 and later. Okay, so you can see the original door hinge bushings, a little bit longer, and the ones in the kits are the shorter ones. Now, I've looked with everybody. I've looked with Cars Inc. I've even looked at the old Danchuk catalog, looked at Classic Industries, looked at Summit. All right, so we'll go ahead and use the wire brush on the one spot, and then we'll get it ready for paint. Okay, so I went ahead and grabbed some primer, and later on I'll grab some metallic silver, but got one of the arms primered. Came out pretty nice. Just a little rattle can job hanging from the tree. Still got my identifier there, and got all the burrs kind of ground off a little bit, but came out pretty nice. We'll put it together here shortly. All right, so the hinge is painted, the hinge arm, and just threw a little bit of silver metallic on it after the gray primer. So got the flat part of the anvil, and we're going to go ahead and set that down. I normally have a piece of wood here, so I'm not smacking the new paint onto metal. But we'll put the new bushing on here, just kind of lay it in place. Give it a couple taps to get it started. And pretty flush. So there it is right there. See the bushings flush. So we'll go ahead and do the other side. I don't know what happened to my normal piece of wood here, but I guess this wire brush will work fine. Okay, same deal. We'll go ahead and kind of push that one in, get it started. Give it a couple of light taps, and now that it's straight, get it in nice and flush. Yep, take a little bit more. Okay, so you can see the bushings are now in and ready to go back into the hinge base. Okay, so I got the base of the hinge painted. It's all primed and painted. Make sure I got the right part. I got a PT, which is passenger top, and on the hinge arm I have a PT, passenger top. So that's from my stamp. And what I'll go ahead and do now is I'm going to go ahead and reassemble the arm back into the base. So I got the pin here. This is the original pin. I'm going to use some grease here. And put a little bit of grease right underneath the serrated edge of the pin, and then put some right at the taper of the pin. So got my rag here. All right, so we'll go ahead and lay this up in here. And actually, let me set the pin down here real quick. So we're gonna do that. There we go. All right, so to fish this in here, let's see. I want to scratch the paint. All right, now what I got to do is I got to line everything back up. Just kind of walk it back into place. Get it as eyeballed as I can, which that's pretty good right there. Not too bad, at least on the bottom anyway. All right, yeah, it looks real straight. So we got a nice even lined up. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the serrated edge, because one end is serrated and one's not. And you can see this is the bottom and this is the top where the serrated edge is. I'm not sure if you'll actually be able to see that, but it's there. So what I'm going to do is we'll set this on my makeshift piece of wood that, I don't know what happened to my piece of wood that goes on top of my, basically so I don't mar the metal. But I got the pin set in place, everything's lined up. Give it some taps, get it down in there. Okay, yeah, guess it's not wanting to line up with the bottom. So luckily the pin's tapered, so it should guide itself in. All right, there it goes. Now, pin's flush with the wood. So what I'm going to need to do here is, let me get a rag. Just don't want to tear up the paint too bad that I just painted. And I'll set this thing right in the open jaws of the vise. And let's see if we could, it's a little bit later in the evening because I've been waiting for paint to dry. So I went and had some dinner, and paint's dry and it's ready to put this thing back together. So okay, so I got this thing in the open part of the jaw of the vise so that the pin will go beyond the point of just being flush. That's something to hold in place here. So we're going to basically try to drive it into place here and let those serrated edges seat back in the serrated edge of the base of the hinge. It takes a couple of whacks, get it nice and flush, and you can see it's nice and flush there. It squeezed the grease out, and you can see the bottom is all the way through. So all right, so painted, greased, new bushings, no rust, and she's all ready to go. So got a hinge. All right, so now that that one's done, we've got those three that are already done. This was the last one, all ready to go in silver metallic. A little bit of a giveaway of what the car is going to be painted. But if you've seen some of my pictures of my dad's gasser, it was called Thunder Road, silver metallic with a fiberglass tilt front end and Hillborns and some Kreger SS's on the front. That's basically what we're doing with the Del Rey. So I'll get a little bit more into that later. But also got the door latches. They're all done. Really not really a need to paint these, but I did anyway because the door striker portion, this little portion right here, does show in the door jamb, and you can see through the holes and through the opening where the door striker is here. So I just went ahead and shot those. Actually, I stripped them down real well with the wire wheel, got them nice and clean, as clean as I could. It's probably better to use a bead blaster on this, but got everything working really well. And I'll put some grease in there just before we go to install those, but they're all ready to go too. So, and as well as my hardware bolts. And I'll probably replace these later with something a little bit better. I know there's some stainless kits out there that'll look pretty nice. The stainless and the silver metallic look pretty good. But, you know, it's a race car, and I'm trying to keep it as original as my dad had it when he ran it. So, all right, we'll get these things out to Newt, and should be ready to hang some doors. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions or comments or something that could have been done better, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care, guys.